Hey guys, it's Christy from Christy Cooks for Life, and today we are going to make chicken pot pie. We're heading into fall, and comfort food seems to be what's on everybody's mind, so we're going to make a chicken pot pie because that's what I think of when I think of fall. So normally when I make chicken pot pie, I use rotisserie chicken, but because I have no idea how much sodium is in a rotisserie chicken, I'm going to pre-make the chicken ahead of time, and then we'll put the pot pie together. So in the Instapot, I actually have one chicken breast, it's a pretty large one, and about 4 or 5 chicken thighs, because I want a mixture of breasts and thighs, or white and dark meat, in the pot pie. So in this chicken, with it, I'm gonna put 2 cups of chicken stock, low sodium chicken stock. I actually use Trader Joe's brand, surprise. And the reason I'm putting so much liquid in, you don't really need that much liquid in the Instapot, but I'm gonna use the broth that's left over from making this chicken in the pot pie, because then it's gonna have more flavor. So with the broth and the chicken, I'm going to put a tablespoon of rosemary, or more. That's about a tablespoon, because I really like rosemary in my chicken pot pie, so I think that having it cook in the chicken is just going to add that other level of flavor. And then I'm also using minced garlic, about a tablespoon of that as well. So as you can see, that broth is going to have some nice flavor in it. And I'm also going to put in probably about a tablespoon of black pepper, just to start building those flavors. We've talked about it a lot of times, when you're not using salt, you need to improvise and use other seasoning to kind of get you that depth of flavor. So I'm gonna just mix that around a little bit, and then I'm going to put the Instapot on chicken. As you can see, this is a really simple Instapot. So if I, oops, I gotta remember how to use it. Edit that out. Why is this not working? Okay, hold on everybody. Why is it not working? Oh, there we go. Okay, had it on the wrong side. Okay, so then we're gonna make sure that it's sealed, and push chicken, which says it's gonna take about 20 minutes. And once the chicken is done, I'm gonna take it out and pull it apart. We're gonna use 1 cup of chicken breast and 1 cup of chicken thigh, and then we're gonna add that to our chicken pot pie mixture. Okay guys, we are going to start step 2 of our chicken pot pie. So we already cooked the chicken in the Instapot and shredded it up. I have a cup of the white meat and a cup of the dark meat, with the rest of the 2 cups of chicken broth that we cooked it in, just so we have extra flavor in it. In our big pan here, we have 2 tablespoons of butter that we're melting, that we're gonna saute our vegetables in. So I have about 1/2 cup of celery chopped up, and I have about 1 cup of onions chopped up. This is actually 1/2 of a Valdelia. I mess that up every time. That I had in the fridge, so I figured it would just be a good onion to use. You can use a regular yellow onion or white onion, whatever you like. Get that going. And then I also have some mushrooms that I want to get in there. We want to make sure that we sweat those out, because we don't want that extra liquid to be in the pot pie. So we're going to put those in with the onions and celery and let those cook for a little bit. So over here I also have a 9x13 pan. That's actually what we're going to bake it in. So we're going to spray that off in a minute and prep that. I have the oven set at 400. So in the second step, we're gonna make sure that we build the base of the chicken pot pie. But then after that, we're gonna make the biscuits so we can put them right on top. So, you know, there are a few steps to this project, and there are some hacks if you don't wanna do these steps. You actually could buy the chicken, like I said, a rotisserie chicken, and just pull that off. And then you could buy like biscuits in the tube, where you crack them and they pop. A lot of people like those, but when you're trying to control the sodium, you know, it's really hard to find those low sodium options. So this way I know exactly how much sodium is going to be in the whole dish. So in this bowl, I have about a cup of carrot and peas, you know, like frozen carrot and peas. And then also I have about a cup of the corn that I froze when corn was in season this summer. So I'm super excited to use that. So that's been kind of sitting out thawing. It's not 100% thaw yet, but it'll be fine. It'll cook really nicely in here with the onions and the celery. So while that's sauteing and we're getting that liquid out of there, in here I have a teaspoon, of garlic powder and a teaspoon of garlic onion. Again, we're just building those layers of flavor, and I'm going to put a little bit of cracked black pepper in here as well. So get that in there. Probably like maybe a tablespoon. Probably depends on how, you know, peppery you like your food. So you can see that's coming together nicely, all those pretty colors. And if there's any of these vegetables that you don't like, you don't have to put them in here. You know, if you're not super excited about mushrooms, don't put them in. It's totally cool. So it's getting nice and all that fluid's getting absorbed. And the cool thing about this is you don't really have to let these cook very long. I mean, peas cook like that, carrots are cut up really small, and then it's gonna bake in the oven. So you don't have to worry about them being 100% cooked through. And our chicken is already cooked, so we don't have to worry about that. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna put in a half a cup of flour. And now we're gonna start building our thickener. I'm struggling today with my words. All right, so we're just gonna shake that around on top of the veggies. You know, it's kind of like making gravy. If you guys make homemade gravy, this is a similar way of doing it. And you wanna, you know, cook that flour for a few minutes because you don't want that flour taste in your food. You wanna cook it off so it's a little toasty. So we're gonna go ahead and let that cook for a few minutes. And you can see it's already just absorbed whatever fluid was in there. Now we might decide we need a little extra flour, which I have sitting right behind me for the biscuits, so no worries there. All right, I am gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put the milk in first. So we have a cup of milk that we're gonna go ahead and put in there. So as you can see, this is a pretty rich dish. And, you know, I'm doing the best I can to make it as low sodium and low fat as possible. But this is probably one of those recipes that you don't wanna eat every day. This is kind of a once or twice a year kind of recipe. So as you can see, that flour is absorbing all of that milk, so it's gonna be nice and rich. And then I'm just gonna pour in, I kind of cheated and put all the chicken and the broth together. So we're gonna pour that in all together. Oh my gosh, doesn't that look good? And I have to say I cheated, and I tasted the chicken, and with that rosemary and garlic in there, it has an amazing flavor. So you can see, if you've ever made pot pie before, this looks just like how it starts to come together. Shred up that chicken a little bit more. And then we're gonna let it simmer for a few minutes to help the flour and all of the liquids thicken up. Make sure I didn't forget anything. I actually am gonna take a taste of this and see if maybe we wanna add a little more rosemary. So once we get it coming to a boil, we'll take a little taste. And I have a handy dandy, ooh, I don't wanna miss that flour, look at that. That'll help thicken it up. And you can see that by putting the flour in with the veggies and then adding the milk, it didn't get lumpy. Sometimes when you're making like a gravy or a roux like this, you gotta be careful that it doesn't get lumpy on you. So as you can see, there's no lumps in there. Oh, and it's thickened up already, yay. I love it when a plan comes together. All right, let's just take a little taste out of there and see if it needs anything. Should probably get another spoon. I'm gonna put it back in there. Hold please. It's good. I do think I could use a little more rosemary though. I think I have it on my lip. So I'm going to put in about another tablespoon of rosemary and a little more black pepper. You never know when you're cooking exactly how much you're going to need, so it's always good to taste as you go. You don't want to put too much in and then you can't take it back out. So I like to build as I go. I'll just use the spoon I ate off of. That would have been helpful, wouldn't it? Look how thick and gooey that's getting. Ooh. When you say comfort food, this is what I think of. One more little taste. Turn that down a little so it doesn't stick. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that tastes good. Alrighty. Alright. I think it just needs to simmer a few more minutes. It's pretty thick already. And like I said, just like the veggies, it's going to get thicker as it cooks. So, I think that's probably good. All right, we're going to shut that off. And first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spray my pan here. I'm just using an organic olive oil spray. You can use whatever you want, whatever kind of spray you have. This just helps, you know, so it doesn't stick, and easier cleanup, which is always nice. All right, here comes the tricky part. This pan's always so darn heavy. All right, so we're just going to pour that in there. I need to pour it towards you. Oh my gosh, look at that yummy goodness. All right, let me scrape that off a little bit. You get that? All right, so we're just gonna leave that sit while we make our biscuits. And you can see it's already thickening up even a little bit more. Okay, all right, so we will be doing step 3 in just a minute, and that's gonna be making the biscuits, and then we're gonna place the biscuits on top and then bake it for about 20 or 25 minutes. So we'll be right back. Okay guys, we're ready for step 3 of our chicken pot pie. So we roasted the chicken in the Instapot, and we mixed all the veggies and chicken and made like a sauce, like a thickened chicken broth, and now we're gonna make the biscuits. So, you know, some people make pot pie in an actual pie crust, but when you're trying to maybe watch calories or watch your sodium, having the biscuits on top make it a little bit easier for that portion control. So I have in this bowl 3 cups of just regular, you know, all-purpose flour, and I'm going to add to it 4 teaspoons of basically no sodium baking powder and a half a teaspoon of cream of tartar. So I wanted to share with you the Hain Pure Foods, oh my gosh, featherweight baking powder is sodium free and gluten free. I found this at Whole Foods. I couldn't remember where I bought it, and I had used it all up. So they have it at Whole Foods, but you can also order it online. But it's much cheaper if you go to Whole Foods. But if you don't have a Whole Foods by you, then you know you got to do what you got to do. So we're going to mix those dry ingredients together and get that all incorporated, and throw some flour on the floor. That's just a little bit of a lot of flour that will probably end up on the floor with this. So then what I did was I took 3/4 cup of unsalted butter, or what is that, 12 tablespoons. And I basically used a cheese grater. See the cheese grater here? And I grated it because you want your butter to be super cold, but you also, you know, want it to be kind of pea size. So that's kind of a little trick on how to get your butter easily chopped up, because it's not super easy to cut a cold stick of butter. So I use that same technique for my scones, and it makes them really light and fluffy. So we're gonna stir that in. And as you all know, you don't wanna mix this too much because you wanna keep that butter as cold as possible. So having it shredded up like that really helps you incorporate it. You don't even really need a pastry cutter unless you wanna use one. So we're gonna mix this all together. There's a big chunk right there we wanna mix up. And so as you can see, I don't know if you can tell, but you can see those little flakes of butter in there. And that's gonna help add those layers to the biscuit. All right, so obviously when you're normally making biscuits, you wanna add, I think it's like a half a teaspoon of salt, but we're just leaving that out completely. And we're using unsalted butter. So we really wanna make sure that we control the sodium. But to help with flavor, I'm gonna use a cup of buttermilk instead of regular milk. And I'm just gonna stir that in. Pretty soon I'm gonna have to start using my hands, but we're gonna start like this. Pour that in there. And we also need 1 egg. So I have a egg here that we'll put in. We're gonna mix that all together, and it's gonna start to come together into like a sticky ball. And I'm gonna put some flour out on the counter here. So maybe a little more. We have a space that we can roll those out. All right, I think it's time to start using our hands. I got a little messy up in here. All right, we need to flour up our rolling pin here. So we roll it out. We want to roll it out till it's about 3/4 to 1 inch thick. So, you gotta kind of eyeball it. It's like making sugar cookies. We really need that to stay together. Okay guys, I'm super excited. We just took the casserole out of the oven. I actually let it sit for a few minutes to help, coagulate so it's not quite so runny. I pulled out a serving, which is about probably 3/4 of a cup of the vegetable and chicken mixture, and then 1 biscuit. And I'm gonna take a quick bite and see how it came out. As you can see, the biscuits are super flaky. I'm super excited about that. So we're gonna have a bite. It's probably hotter than heck, so oh yeah, look at all that steam coming off of there. While we're letting that cool off, if you like this recipe or you want more recipes like this, make sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at ChristyCooksForLife.com. No, Christy Cooks for Life. And on YouTube, it's also Christy Cooks for Life. Make sure to subscribe and find videos like these that you can cook along with. Super good. It tastes just like regular pot pie, just without all the sodium. So remember, make every meal a heart healthy meal. Thanks and have a great day.